California is just 6 weeks away from the gubernatorial recall election. On September 14th, you get to cast your ballot, which will have 2 questions on them. Should Governor Newsom be recalled? And if so, who should replace him? Joining us this morning to talk about the recall election is Rebecca Eissler, who is a political science professor at San Francisco State University. Good morning, Rebecca. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a recent poll that got a lot of attention this week. According to a UC Berkeley LA Times poll, the recall is essentially tied, with 47% of voters polled saying they support recalling the governor, 50% opposed, with 3% undecided. Now, in a state where registered Democrats outnumber Republicans, how and why is this so close, or are you skeptical about that poll?
I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say I'm skeptical about the poll. I'm sure that they've got good methodology behind it. But I would say that special elections, even one that in the scheme of special elections is as high profile as a gubernatorial recall, people's opinions tend not to be quite as firm as they might be for something like a presidential election. So I would guess that there could be some softness, some shifting in those numbers over the coming weeks as we see more campaigning occur.
And we will definitely look out for some of the things that can happen in the next 6 weeks. That's a long time in politics. But what are some of the big issues that could come up between now and then that could play a big role in the outcome?
Well, I think as has been the case for a lot of things, the coronavirus and the changing state with the Delta variant could end up playing a role if California has to implement any restrictions, go sort of backwards in the opening. That could end up having a role. But also, I think it's important to remember that this is a mail election, and so voting actually starts earlier than 6 weeks from now.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Governor Newsom has some definite advantages. He's the incumbent. There's no other establishment Democrat running against him in the recall. The anti-recall effort has raised about $37 million, but some political observers have warned about what they call an enthusiasm gap between Democrats and Republicans. How is that going to factor into this, you think?
I think that plays a big role. As I was mentioning earlier, there's a potential for, especially in special elections, the people that are more excited about the election being more likely to turn out, or in this case, mail in or drop off their ballot. But for those who are maybe less excited about it, they or less, see the point in the special election, they may be less likely to turn in their ballot. And so those who have that side that is more excited, has more excited voters, will have probably better turnout. Is
that a factor that the governor and Democrats should be worried about?
Yes. I mean, in many ways, the side right now that seems to be more excited is the side that is pushing for the recall. So I think that that Governor Newsom and his supporters are going to need to actually really try to make a case for why this is not the right step for California at this moment before the final day to turn in ballots comes.
Now, this Wednesday, 5 Republican candidates seeking to replace Governor Newsom will speak at a 90-minute debate. It'll be on our air here in KTVU. Now, these 5 Republicans are part of a field of 46 candidates on the ballot trying to replace the governor. Who, if anyone, is going to be able to stand out?
I think it's going to be quite a challenge to stand out, because in many ways, this is a race that not that many people have been paying attention to. And so while many of the ones who are going to be appearing at the debate have past experience either as elected officials or as candidates in statewide races, it is going to be incumbent upon them to remind people of who they are. And the person who can sort of trigger people's memories best is most likely to be able to succeed, at least in being the selection on the second question on the ballot.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes. Rebecca Eissler, political science professor at San Francisco State University. Thank you so much for speaking with us on this topic. And KTVU is presenting a debate on Wednesday, as we mentioned, with some of the candidates hoping to replace Governor Newsom. You can watch it live on Channel 2 from 6 to 7:30 p.m. again on Wednesday.